Hello everyone, my name's Tommy, this is Billy. Today we're going to be talking to you about interviews. We've all done them, it can be a bit scary, but we're going to talk about what not to say in them to create your best chances of landing that role. So we're going to kick off with the I don't know answer. Billy, what have you got to say around this?
Yeah, I feel like we've all been in situations, interviews where you get thrown a bit of a curveball question. It's quite daunting, especially when you've got to come up with something quick on the spot. So yeah, the I don't know response very rarely goes well. I feel like a lot of people will also fall into the mindset of struggling to quickly come up with an answer that they think maybe the interviewer wants to hear, rather than what's natural and actually comes from that specific individual.
Absolutely, and also when you get asked the question and you genuinely don't know it, don't just blag a random answer that's going to make them think, oh yeah, that's right. Generally just say, I'm not too sure on that one. I'll have to get back to you when I know more about it. Back it up.
I think another great way of approaching it is saying, like, you know, I think it shows a bit of strength when you come back and say, well, this is how I would approach it, and just give like an honest response rather than just saying, yeah, I'm not too sure, coming up with a quick answer on the spot. I think it's probably a good way to go.
Definitely.
Right, next is research, company research, definitely non-negotiable. It's, I think one of the biggest things that can set you back in an interview is not knowing who you're speaking with, why you're speaking to them, what these people actually do. As ridiculous as that may sound, a lot of interviews are conducted where things like this do come up. So saying things like, what do you guys do again? Or reiterating a question that kind of shows them that you're not 100% confident in that interview room, actually interviewing for the position that you're going for, I think is a massive hurdle you can find yourself running into.
Absolutely. Okay, so the next one is saying in an interview, I hated my last job. Don't say that. If you did genuinely hate your last job, back it up with, I faced challenges from X, Y, and Z, and I dealt with it in this way. Stuff like that. Billy, anything you want to say?
Yeah, I think it's pretty fair to say that we've all had jobs that we don't like. I think it happens to literally everyone, but you should never be walking into an interview room and publicly advertising that. It just doesn't paint you in a very good light. You're interviewing for a position, you want to put your best foot forward. Yeah, I think, as Tommy said, the best thing you can do is it's very easy to talk about things that you see negatively and put a positive twist on them. Like, yeah, I have faced these challenges, this is how I combated them, this is what I had to do on a day-to-day basis. Very common interview question that would probably prompt these responses is, why are you looking to leave? The answer should never be, because I don't like what I'm doing now. It just doesn't paint you in a very good light, really. Yeah, next tip that we've got, very common interview question is, what are your biggest weaknesses? This can be phrased in a couple of different ways, but really clever way for an employer to find out kind of what your sort of gaps and cracks are. Now, this is quite a fine line. There's two sides to this sort of spectrum, as we were just discussing, is that you can go one of two ways, both of which don't really play the cards into your favour. You can go too honest and too front-facing. We say, I'm too lazy, tired. Obviously, people don't really say this in interviews, let's be honest, but it is something that comes to mind. You know, you throw a genuine weakness out there, hating out of bed on a Monday. You know, I hate staying after 5 o'clock or whatever. And then there's the other side of the same coin is you don't want to say sort of I'm too trustworthy and also I'm a perfectionist. That is like not a good weakness to have, because it's probably not true either. But you want to find that fine line of sort of backing up your point. You could, for example, say, oh, I tend to stretch myself a bit thin. I take on too much work at once, meaning that I don't sort of put enough effort into one solid bit of work. Could be a good example. You could have another example of... Well, what I gave earlier is like, I think, an example that I gave was that you had an interview where it's like, I find it quite hard to say no to things. It's kind of piggybacking off of what you said, but there are ways of displaying that you have like what we consider weaknesses that are perfectly normal and human behaviours that relate to an everyday office environment that don't show that you're weak. It just means that these are areas that you could do with a little bit of support and mentorship in. You know, as you said, you know, you said that you take on too much work. That's not necessarily something that we consider to be a weakness, but like something to bear in mind that can only help you excel in this role. You know.
Yeah. So we've done what not to do in an interview. Now we're going to go through a few things that sort of up your chances of landing that role. So firstly, it's better to overdress than to underdress, all right? So wear a suit if you need to, because you're not going to get penalised for overdressing. Whereas if you go in wearing something, I don't know, a hoodie, you're going to lose your chances of getting a role. So overdress being the first one.
I think piggybacking off of something we mentioned earlier, but really important to me, and it's one of my sort of pet hates here, is research. Do your research. You should know everything about that company before you walk into that interview room. You don't want to be in a situation where they throw a question at you that you can't answer, because that's basically the interview over and done with there and then. Know who they are, know what they do, know why you're there, what you're interviewing for. You should have as much research done as you possibly can.
And off the back of that, obviously, you need to ask questions. So you should be going into the interview with some questions in mind. And if something springs to mind during the interview, ask it. You're not going to get penalised. It shows interest. Make sure they're intelligent questions. Back them up. And yeah, it shows interest. It's a really good thing to do.
I think finally, for me, especially in the modern day and age that we're living in at the moment, technology is everything. LinkedIn is a very, very, very powerful tool if you know how to use it properly. Very similar to other social media platforms, but specifically designed to help you find the best role that's suited for you and connect with other like-minded individuals within your kind of skill set. I think LinkedIn is a very powerful tool when it comes to finding like the right job, connecting with the right people. It can open up avenues and pathways that you perhaps didn't even realise existed. So yeah, definitely get on LinkedIn and know how to use it.
So that is it. Those are the do's and don'ts of interviewing from myself, Tommy and Billy.
And if you need anything else in the future, we're here to help, so reach out. We're on all the socials. If there's anything you think of that we've missed, it'd be great to hear from you as well.